Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I just wanted to talk about Surah number 74 of the Quran, and in it, while the ones that are entering hellfire enter, they're being asked as to, you know, what it is that they did. And as the conversation is going on, this is an example of what is the conversation in chapter 74. It talks about three replies that the one entering the hellfire is responding with. The first one is that they did not used to prostrate, pray salah, remember God, the kid, the whole 9 yards. Right? So just the prayer wasn't there, number one. Number two is the feeding of the indigent. Okay. Feeding. Okay, to feed the poor. Constantly, repeatedly mentioned throughout the scriptures, all scriptures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have you fed the poor? Feed the poor. Feed the meek. Okay. And the third one is what they say the lowest part of hell, where even the hellfire is afraid to go to, is a place called Humaza, or starts with an H if I can remember, in Arabic. And that is for those whom are the ones whom are backbiters. Okay. Or you can say backbiters, or the term slanderers, or that sort. So the first one we covered, it's those who didn't pray. Oh, because we didn't pray. 2, we didn't feed the poor. And 3, what's the third one? The third one is those whom did vain talk. Why is this the third thing mentioned? Just in sequential order, it wasn't mentioned, okay, because I murdered someone, or because I gotta stop saying because I murdered someone. It's because somebody, or a person rather, or because a person, by the way, this broadcast is just for an example, so we gotta go back with the fine print, because I don't want somebody to go ahead and take this and be like, oh, cut, retract, playback, right? It doesn't work like that. Guys watching Woe to Bottom Some Plot, right? Anyhow, so it wasn't in this order that, I don't want to throw you off in that sense, but the order was, again, those whom didn't pray, those whom didn't feed the poor, and the third being those whom did vain talk. Why the importance of vain talk? Like, why did Allah choose that? Like, let's think about why. We can understand at first too, they're common denominators, and they're very commonly understood, logically at least. But why the third one? Why couldn't it have been, okay, somebody committed murder, somebody committed adultery, somebody, all of these things of that sort, somebody stole, somebody, just all the sins that are the 641 sins known to break the law. Or 621, I don't even know. Why not that? Like, one of the grandest things that you could do is, zina, right? That's one of the grandest things you could do in terms of, not grandest and like grandest sense, stuff at all. So why wasn't that mentioned? Okay. Well, let's see. Let's go back a little bit. The first thing that's mentioned is by not praying Salah, Allah, you're not giving what is the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The right to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're taking away His right from you. He has a right over your life. He has a right over your wealth. He has a right over everything. So you're not giving Him His right. The second right is the right because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already given to you. The poor retrieve what they're supposed to from you because you were given what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to give to you. So that's their right from you. So now you're taking away from their right. Right? But now, what is the third one covering? The third one is covering the haq, the right to be in the state of peace. It is taking away from the rights of those around you. What does vain talk do? Vain talk is one useless commentary which can destroy people's marriages, people's lives. Not only that, but guess what happens? Give you absolutely wrong advice. Okay, it can be wrong advice in terms of deen. It could be wrong advice in terms of life. That's how dangerous vain talk is. Useless talk. Talk that's not useful. And talk which isn't truth. And talk which is just absolutely not necessary. Because what is necessary is that which comes from Allah and His teachings. That's necessary. Everything else is surely not necessary. So when you do vain talk and useless talk, you are spreading things which are not necessary to an individual's purpose of life. Neither is it necessary for anyone else that's out there if it's not pertaining to the purpose of life, or if it's not even necessary to talk about it regarding something in terms of, suppose it's work, and you ask somebody, hey, where's the stethoscope or something, I left it on the table. So this is how vain talk comes in. Be like, oh man, yeah, I use the stethoscope to check up on a patient, man. She was hot. Imagine that patient turns out to be somebody's wife. That could be your, that could be that could be like your like, let's just say a doctor is talking to another friend of his, and then all of a sudden that friend of his is not a doctor, but they're out, they're out for dinner. I'm like, oh man, I use a stethoscope to go ahead and check up on his, she has the blank, and be like, oh really? Be like, my wife came out to your doctor's office that day. And be like, were you? Yeah, okay, there you go. So that right there just created problems between him and his wife, because that became vain talk, useless talk. And it makes it even worse because, of course, we identify that as to be a lustful individual, so that just makes it even worse, right? So, of course, I had to give you the most extreme of examples, but hey, you know, you know. So, with that being said, these three types of, you know, these are the three things that a person will be entering as they're entering Jahannam. They'll be, you know, questioned in regards to, or they would know that this is the reason why, because one, they did injustice on themselves because they didn't give haqq to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by not giving him due credence and remembrance and turning to him through prostration. Number two, by not giving the poor their haqq, because Allah has to give them their justice. And number three, the vain talk, which, you know, if you're out there doing vain talk, you're pretty much messing up you're messing up things for other people. Excessive useless talk creating problems for other people in their lives, in their, you know, advice, useless advice, things of that sort, just useless stuff, you know, and that's taking away from the rights of people, you know, once again. And these are very serious things. These are very, very serious things. One useless thing that is said by somebody can completely ruin a whole entire marriage. One useless thing. One untruthful thing. For the rest of that person's life, it can ruin their whole entire marriage. And imagine if it wasn't even truthful to begin with, right? That just makes it even worse. Like, a person is going to be suffering for the rest of their life because somebody decided to just want to be evil. So with that being said, you know, anyhow, I am starting to understand more and more and more. There was an equation that I had received in a dream from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I never believed in that equation as in like before, because it, you know, it was something similar that had happened to one of my friends, and I just didn't understand what on earth that person was talking about. He's somebody that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had shown me that before I had even met him, I had, or like he came to my life rather. I hadn't had met him, but before he came into my life, rather as a friend, as my friend of Deen, it's a straight up brother. You understand? This is a brother that created the website and stuff. So before I came across this brother, I had already been shown in a dream that I would come across, but I just didn't know that it was going to be in real life. And then after that, I had seen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was showing me that he had the whole entire keys to, like, he had a bunch of keys, like, you know, like 300 keys or 200 keys on a key ring or something. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had shown me that I had the one key though that was needed. So he had keys too, mashallah. But I had the one key that was needed. With that being said, umpteen years later, whatever it is that he was talking about, it absolutely zero sense to me. It would always go over my head. I've only heard it like 2 times, if anything, something like that. But it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I just thought, astaghfirullah, I thought my friend was like, I don't know, on some Albert Einstein type of losing his mind type of thing. Respectively. Still my friend though, right? That time. And well, he's married now and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. This time, because you know we have to respect each other when we're married and stuff like that, right? So um, until 10 years later, I receive the understanding of this equation in that dream, and I ran off to go ahead and share it, you know, to speak to people and stuff like that, and they're just like, well, okay, and and that was more of the response I received, and I was like, okay, well, sure, I guess I'm just gonna keep that one to myself. But I just wrote down that equation, and I wrote down the understanding of that. It's very hard because I have to go back to it at some point, and I just left it in my notes. But it wasn't until today, again, that reminder came of the importance of that dream for me to study the equation that, or rather the understanding, more than the equation, more than anything on the planet, the understanding of the importance of good deeds. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and believe in me and do good deeds, that's it. Believe in me and do good deeds. That's what he wants you to do. Because good deeds will wipe away the what? The bad things. But if you're intentionally doing bad and you think that God doesn't know, intentionally, you know you're not supposed to do it. Intentionally, again and again and again and again. And you think that by doing good deeds that it's gonna nullify it? No, you become part of the other group. That you are the first of the believers. So you get double the punishment. Which means that you're worse than those who are, you know, trying and they're not getting it right. You know, they're not intentionally, like, they don't have that knowledge. You're not intentionally, you know, doing it. Like, they're not like, okay, I know I shouldn't be doing this, right? But, you know, I'll go ahead and do it anyways. There's 2 categories of people then. It's, you know, you're either bad or you're wicked. Wicked, you're in trouble. It's double the punishment. That's the example of somebody who knows that they're not supposed to do it, completely know it, completely been admonished, and you're still out there purposely doing it. Like, you don't care. And bad is more of like, you know, you're like, man, I don't want to do this, but kind of kind of like that, I guess you could say. So, with that being said, because it still happens anyways, right? So, there's a difference between the two. There's a difference between going in there like a trooper, and there's a difference between just being on board, you know. So, good deeds. And what are the good deeds? That's the importance. Wow, I just got reminded. This is exactly why I was going to make the video. What are the good deeds? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have chosen anything to mention. But he chose the mentioning of food. Why? Because food is the one thing the rich and the poor and every single human being on the face of this planet eats and needs. Even the baddest guy, woman, tough guy, everybody still comes down to that they need food. That they need food. One cannot go without food. Pharaoh couldn't have gone without food, right? So with that being said, feed. That's why he mentioned, well, I can't say that's why he mentioned food, but I can understand perhaps so that knowing that this is the one thing that is the number one thing that a human being needs to sustain their bodies, to function. Allah will give it anyways if you don't give it. That's what he says too. Even when the haqq is being taken away, like for example, between me and my spouse, straightforward, he doesn't want to give me anything. Nothing. Because he took the next ayat and said, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you. Without realizing that, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have taken care of me if you had absolutely nothing to give. You understand? Depriving me of my haqq, but that's okay. As in, I'm not gonna fight for it because I don't want a house in this dunya. I wanted a home, meaning place to be, whether it was in a shack or in a jungle or in a mansion with him, with my spouse, but I don't want a home in this dunya. I wish I did, but the home being built here is worthless. It's worthless. Why build and work in a home where thieves can come and rob it, and the thieves are within the homes? Most of your neighbors in this dunya, because Allah says majority are wicked. Why build a home in this dunya when you can build a home and think about your akhirah in an everlasting place where you don't have to worry about thieves and bad speech and vain talk and bad people and bad deeds and bad things? I want my house built in Jannah with a spouse. With a spouse. Anyways. Ya Rabbil Alameen. I lost my train of thought. Good office.